So Mr Corbyn's plans now blown out of the water, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think it's constitutionally right that the leader of the opposition, with 247 MPs, other parties are smaller, they have their electoral mandate, but of course it pales in significance to the leader of the opposition. I think that Jeremy behind the scenes is talking to all opposition leaders to first and foremost prevent a no-deal Brexit, and kind of the Liberal Democrats saying so clearly that they wouldn't entertain this. I think we have urged them to change their mind, because they've said all along that they don't want a no-deal Brexit. Well, the best way to do that is to get behind Jeremy Corbyn.
You're someone who was, quite famously in the past said, you couldn't even be friends with the Tory. It hardly seems the right attitude if you're trying to build a government of national unity.
I didn't say that, so I said I didn't go to Westminster to fraternise, to be friends, to have drinks with Tory MPs, those people who are creating havoc upon my community. I've done surgery after surgery after surgery this weekend, where I see the toll that is being taken on my community, not only on the high streets, which I think we'll talk about later, but individually people suffering. So I never ever said that. That's huge slippage, and I have always been collegiate, and Jeremy Corbyn has always been collegiate and trying to get the best for my constituency, trying to get the best for the country. And so, Jeremy has held out the hand of compromise many, many times to try and avert catastrophe of a no-deal Brexit. It's time that the other political parties, and some have said that they would be more than willing to do that, but it's time for the Liberal Democrats, instead of enabling a no-deal Brexit, which is essentially what they'll do, is to rally behind Jeremy Corbyn to stop what could be economic catastrophe.
In terms then, if you're saying the determination here is to act in the best interests of the country, would you then support a government of national unity where Jeremy Corbyn was not the caretaker Prime Minister and perhaps someone like Kenneth Clarke was?
I think constitutionally it is right. Jeremy Corbyn is the leader of the opposition. It is the largest party that isn't in government. He should lead those conversations. And, he carries with him the largest amount of MPs. And quite frankly, I think it's arrogant of, say the Liberal Democrats or other people who don't have such a mandate in Parliament. Remember, Jeremy Corbyn was sent to, as the leader of the Labour Party, he was elected twice, but also had 40% of the vote share at the last election. I think it's quite strange, if I'm honest, that we're considering other options. Constitutionally, that is the right thing to do. But let's consider the inverse. If Jeremy wasn't doing this, if he wasn't trying to reach out across all sides of the House of Commons, what would people say? He is absolutely doing the right thing to avert this no-deal Brexit that we have said in our manifesto, that we have said time and time again in the House of Commons, that other political parties have committed to. The only way to do that is to get behind Jeremy Corbyn so that he can have this time-limited period as a caretaker Prime Minister to avert a no-deal Brexit. It's very simple.
It's a fair point to ask, though, isn't it? If you're so determined to stop a no-deal Brexit, why didn't the Labour Party back Theresa May's deal, which was, in effect, a fairly soft Brexit?
Well, even the hardest line Brexiteers didn't back the deal. The hardest line Remainers didn't back the deal. The deal was, insufficient due to our 6 tests. It was a blind Brexit, if you like. We couldn't have signed up to that. There was no way we could have signed up to that. And as you know, most of the House of Commons, most of the members of Parliament could not sign up to that. And so we have said all along our priority is about averting a no-deal Brexit. The moral and political imperative when we go back to Parliament is to make sure that happens. And, to plead to all of the members of the House of Commons that they put the interests of the nation above, worries about their own electability. You see the independent MPs probably don't want a general election because they're worried about their seats. The Liberal Democrats are potentially worried about the hype in terms of their resurgence that maybe doesn't exist at a next election. That to put those selfish interests above the interests of the nation would be deeply selfish. Our political, and I'll say it again, and our moral imperative is to stop a no-deal Brexit. You saw some of the leaked Operation Yellowhammer projections that aren't about catastrophising or scaremongering. They are saying, in reality, these are the things that could happen if no deal was enabled. Boris Johnson is willing to allow that to happen because he is completely shielded, and the people that he represents are completely shielded from the effects of a no-deal Brexit. I spoke to factories in my constituency on Friday who said, please, whatever you do, can you try and stop a no-deal Brexit because it's uncertain, from the manufacturers to the shop assistants on the forecourts who are saying, we need some certainty. And Jeremy Corbyn is the person, in my view, and in many people's view, who will bring that certainty as a caretaker Prime Minister.